from the red earth. They rise, carrying the courage of two rivers, Bull Terrier and Ridgeback, bound in the dust of Africa.
In the shadow of lions where the tall grass sways, hunters walk far through the burning days. Beside them ran hearts, unbroken, untamed. The bull terrier's fire gave the ridgeback its name. Remembers fire remains. For your attention, one heart sustained. White of homestead, hunter of pride. Ridgeback rising, ancestors guide. Hey, few will admit, few voices will say, the bull terrier spirit walks Ridgeback's way. Fearless devotion, loyalty true, strength of the old world burning anew. Breathing of hunters, brave though the storm. Shaped by the hunters, the legend was born. Bloodlines converging, destiny sealed. In Africa, silence their courage revealed. Remembers fire remains.
Hello and welcome to the first part of episode 1 of the Rhodesian Ridgeback Deconstructed channel. I'm Sean Hall, a Ridgeback owner from South Africa. I'm also a writer, and I've written numerous books and articles on the Rhodesian Ridgeback and indigenous African dogs. And this channel will act as a platform for me to discuss the subject matter of my various books and to present it to other Rhodesian Ridgeback enthusiasts worldwide. On this channel, I will also be inviting, from time to time, specialist guests to discuss certain topics, and I will also offer question and answer sessions to enthusiasts around the world who would like to interact with me regarding the material presented on the channel. So, this image that you see here is the cover of book 1 of one of my new series on the Rhodesian Ridgeback and African dogs, and the series is entitled Thoughts on the Rhodesian Ridgeback. The book has the title The Influence of the Bull Terrier in the Rhodesian Ridgeback. This is probably a topic that is not very popular among many Rhodesian Ridgeback breeders and show enthusiasts globally, but nevertheless, history is what it is, and the facts will usually always reveal themselves. Recent DNA analysis supports my personal observations and experience, as well as my ethnographic and historical research, that the Bull Terrier played a part in the Rhodesian Ridgeback breed's makeup, and it has done so in a very positive manner. We should accept this and be proud of it. In this podcast, based on my books, I will tell you why. But first, I would just like to give a word of caution. And I'd like to say that the Bull Terrier influence into the Rhodesian Ridgeback breed was something that was accomplished many decades ago. Any negative traits that would have resulted from such an introduction have, through various social processes and the elimination of dogs possessing unwanted traits from the gene pool, been excluded from the modern breed. Rhodesian Ridgebacks are not required to exhibit many of the traits once inherent in the Bull Terrier breed. These traits should at all costs not be introduced once again. The Rhodesian Ridgeback breed, as it is today, has been refined to what it is by many generations of highly experienced and informed breeders and enthusiasts. Please do not breed Bull Terriers to Rhodesian Ridgebacks in the belief that you will get a dog suited to your requirements. It is highly likely that any such crossing will result in a dog that could inherit unwanted and unmanageable traits. Such dogs inevitably end up in welfare at best or being euthanized. Furthermore, the Rhodesian Ridgeback is not a breed that is suited for dog fighting. Please believe me on this. It's not suited for bull baiting. It's not suited for bear baiting. It just doesn't have these instincts in its makeup. So please don't even think of going down that path if you're not part of the larger Ridgeback community. No offspring from a Rhodesian Ridgeback is likely to result in a dog suited to any of these functions. So please do not cross your Rhodesian Ridgeback to Bull Terriers. What was required from the Bull Terrier many decades ago has been achieved through time, history, and past social circumstances, and in a particular milieu. This cannot be achieved again and remains in the past where it belongs. If you enjoy and are interested in the subject matter of this particular podcast and would like to buy a copy of my book, it's available to order from Amazon as both a soft cover and as an ebook. So, the dog on the cover of my book is Peaches, Tambuku Just Peachy. She's a dog I bred myself. She's my second Libanose that I've ever owned, and I still have her at 14 years of age. She's a very well pigmented Libanose Ridgeback. She also happens to be ridgeless. But I've included her photograph here and on the cover of the book because there's something about the look of Peaches that reminds me of the Bull Terrier. And it's a trait or a look that I've noticed in her descendants and also in some of her ancestors as well. And I've also noticed this look in a number of South African Rhodesian Ridgebacks. So I'm very happy to acknowledge that the Bull Terrier is part of my dog's makeup. I know that it is. I know that it's part of the makeup of many, many Ridgebacks in the world, if not all, because I'm pretty sure from my own ethnographic research and observations and just what I know, having grown up in Southern and Central Africa, that the Bull Terrier was a very popular breed and that it was used to contribute towards the makeup of the Rhodesian Ridgeback. So I'm very happy to talk about it openly, and I'm very happy to use photographs of my own dogs. And I think you will agree from this photograph of Peaches when she was a young dog that she's an absolutely stunning dog, and she has produced the most beautiful puppies. Something else that I've noticed is that with my own dogs, I can only really speak about my own dogs because, I know them from absolutely inside out, from puppies right through their lives, and their looks change as they go through their different life stages. And because the Rhodesian Ridgeback is quite a new breed, you can actually see the various breeds or types of dog that went into the genetic makeup of the Ridgeback through the life stages of the dog. Because as the dog goes through its different life stages, these different looks, or let's say the legacy of each of these breeds, often manifests. So there are times when in Peter's life or her progeny's life or her ancestor's life, when I could see that there was the presence of the of a bull terrier. And at other times that fades, and the dog changes in its look and appearance. And other breeds might give a hint of their presence. You know. So anyway, but I've got a number of images here, and we can go through them, and then I can discuss different aspects. But the one thing that I'd like to say, still on this particular photograph, is that I think that the bull terrier and the mastiff gave substance to the Rhodesian Ridgeback, and you can see from Peaches. Yeah, you can see from Peaches that even though she's not a very tall dog, she's actually not tall at all. But she has a lot of substance. She's got a lot of bone. She's got nice big paws, and she's balanced, and she's a solid dog. Now, as I've said, the Ridgeback through its different life stages, because it's quite a recent breed, it's got so many dogs in its makeup, different types of dogs, that as it goes through its life stages, the different ancestry of the dog makes itself evident. And I've included this particular headshot of Peaches because it has a very distinctive look about it. She has a very deep muzzle, a very strong muzzle, extremely powerful. And she has a nice long muzzle too. So it's a very prominent muzzle. This is the muzzle of a working dog. It's the muzzle of a hunting dog. Now, the shape of the muzzle and the depth of the muzzle, the width of the muzzle, is suggestive to me of the bull terrier ancestry. Also for the fact that she's not a very tall dog. She's quite a short dog, and she's a stocky dog, and she's got a lot of substance. But because so many breeds went into the Rhodesian Ridgeback, this muzzle is also the muzzle of a sighthound, an eastern sighthound. You'll see the same, not the depth, not the width, not the powerful structure of the muzzle, but the shape of the top of the muzzle is also suggestive of the eastern sighthounds, like a Saluki or a Shlugi or an Afghan. So anyway, so one should just bear that in mind when sort of discussing the ancestry of the dog, that there are so many different types of dogs that go into the makeup. But I think that you would agree that there's something about Peaches that suggests the bull terrier. So this next photo that I'm about to show you is of Peaches' mother, Calypso, Tambuku Mystic Delphi. She was bred by Scotty Stewart of Clachan Kennels, but the father of Calypso was a dog that I bred, Tambuku Yesaba Bobez. So she's my breeding as well. Now, she also was not a very tall dog, but she was a very stocky dog. She was a very balanced dog, but she was a strong, powerful girl. And she was very old when we took this photograph. I mean, she must have been about 13 years. But you can see the depth to this dog's muzzle, and the width and the depth and the strength in the dog's muzzle. Again, this is the muzzle of a working dog. This is the muzzle of a hunting dog. And there is something about the shape of the muzzle that is suggestive of the bull terrier. Also, again, I say the strength of the dog, the power of the structure of the dog, in that she was she was not very tall, but she was very substantial, with a lot of bone and beautiful big paws as well, just like her daughter. Right. So the next photograph that I have here is again of Calypso's daughter Peaches. So I've included this particular photograph to show you just how substantial Peaches is, and also the shape of the head again. Now, a lot of Ridgeback people are not going to like the shape of the head, but yes, maybe it's not going to be celebrated in the show ring, but the fact is that this is a powerful head. This is a very, very powerful head. Look at the depth of the muzzle. And just look at the structure of the head. Look at the structure of the dog's body. This is a strong, powerfully built, beautifully balanced dog. And it's the structure of a working dog. So, yes, it's not what you're used to seeing, but this is a South African dog. This is a dog with a South African structure, and it's made for working in South African conditions. And it is a dog whose traits, these particular traits that I'm talking about, have been inherited from her mother. They're visible in her mother, and they're visible in her ancestors. Going back, not every single ancestor, every single generation, but certainly it's there in the gene pool, and it does manifest from time to time. In this particular instance, it was visible in her mother, and it was also visible in her grandmother. So her grandmother was Rhodesian Ridgeback, as I say, from Rhodesian kennels, from Yvonne Dupré, and Puku is a granddaughter of, a daughter of an Isimangamanga dog. So South African nines, all the way back. Isimangamanga, Glenahome, Mushana, Pleasant View. So the next photograph is, I've chosen this particular photograph. It is Peach's daughter, Tambuku Sunset Shimmer, or Gretel. At a particular life stage, she was about a year old here. She's very substantial here, and she actually grew out to be more elegant, as you'll probably see in later photographs in these podcasts. But both she and her sister, Tambuku Sunset Swift, were both very, very stocky dogs at about from about 6 months to a year and a half of age. You can see, I mean, this is a powerhouse of a bitch. Again, she has that same look about her. She has that look of the bull terrier about her. So it's come down from Calypso, Peaches, and to these two girls. I've lost it in the next generation. Gretel's puppies are they don't have that look. Not so much. But yes, so it's inherited, and I would expect it to show up again in a later generation. The point is that the bull terrier is there in the gene pool. It may not always show up, but it's there, and it will manifest from time to time. Now, because the Rhodesian Ridgeback has been taken out of its native context, which is Africa and Southern Africa, a very, very rugged, very demanding landscape, socially and environmentally. And the function of the dog is also very demanding. I mean, the dog will look very different here from how it is going to look overseas because, I mean, I'm talking the dog in its natural state, the breed in its natural state, before it became a show dog. And the reason is because the dog had to be a functional dog, and its form and function and its temperament, its entire makeup was going to be dictated by its function and the environment in which it is working. You take the dog out of its environment, its native environment, you put it in the show ring, you put it in a lure coursing arena, and the dog is going to change its morphology, and it's going to change its temperament. So the dogs I'm showing you, my own dogs that I'm showing you now, are going to look very different from the dogs that you see in the show ring for that reason. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, now, Sean, look at her dogs now. They got Bull Terrier. And, well, where do you think I got my dogs from? My dogs come from the wider Rhodesian Ridgeback gene pool. That is what was there. That is what you have got in your dogs. Now, you may have changed the shape of your dog. You may have changed the structure and morphology of your dog to look different, to become much more elegant, to suit the show ring. Elegant, loss of bone, loss of balance, maybe. I don't know. I haven't seen, every dog in the ring. I'm just saying that one has to be really careful about what you're losing by trying to gain fancy points in a show ring. Not to lose the roots of your dog. So my point is, I have no hesitation in celebrating and being fascinated by the different breeds of dogs that went into the make of the Ridgeback, because that concoction, whatever it was, has created the most amazing breed. And it is a breed that is perfectly suited for the function it was intended for in its native African context. So now you may ask, how did I really come across this idea of the Bull Terrier and the Rhodesian Ridgeback? Well, it's multifaceted, and we'll discuss it as we go along. But it's interesting and significant that I came across a mention of Bull Terrier influence on the Glenahome website more than a year ago. And we know that Glenahome Kennels was one of the most influential names in the form that the Rhodesian Ridgeback took at the time that the dog really became a very popular and established as a registered show dog in South Africa and internationally. Now, in this write-up, it stated that Colonel Pienaar of Mushati Kennels had told the Fenters that he had introduced Bull Terrier into the dogs bred in his own kennel. He had previously bought a male dog from the Fenters, and in return he sent them 2 bitches, which are said to have been kennel raised, and according to the late Laurie Fenter, had terrible temperaments. Now, the Fenters sent them back to Colonel Pienaar by train. And the write-up on the Glenahome page stated that these bitches had no stop and had long, narrow heads with triangular eyes. Now, I've gone on to the Glenahome website this evening before making this podcast, and I looked for this information, but it's gone. And, well, it's interesting that it's gone after I published this book, because let's just say that I had some emails from various breeders from well-known kennels and questioning my stance. And yeah, let's just say that there was a silent furore in the background. So anyway, so look, at first it seems rather remarkable that Colonel Pienaar would have regarded it useful to introduce Bull Terrier into an already established breed. But I've come to suspect that this was something that has been done throughout the history of the breed, even until quite recently, on numerous occasions. And yeah, upon further investigation, there does appear to be good reason for Southern African owners to have done this. Now, its purpose has been one of functionality rather than a question of aesthetics. And before I go on, this is what I'm showing you now on this image is a screen print of the mention of Colonel Pienaar's dogs that were sent to the Fenters, and just what I've said. So, there it is. It's not something that I concocted. Anyway, it was an interesting line of evidence, and it validated my own thoughts and experiences at the time. So I was actually very glad that I'd found it. And it is actually very, very interesting. It should really go back up. It's just so interesting. It's a pity that it has been taken down, if it has. So, you're very welcome to go and look for yourself and let me know in the comments. Right, so now what you're about to see, okay, this is my own photograph that I took of the dog. That somewhere, I can't even remember where, but this is your typical modern bull terrier. Now, I had a bull terrier, when I was growing up. He didn't look like this. He had long legs, and he was a much more athletic dog. He looked like a working dog as well. He looked like a dog who could do things. But this is a dog that's been fashioned by show expectations and extremes. Now, this is the modern bull terrier. Okay, and I'm going to include a few of these photographs just for you to see what the modern dog looks like. And this is what we all expect a bull terrier to look like. And this is probably what is informing and influencing a lot of Rhodesian Ridgeback people to push back against the idea that the bull terrier played a significant part of the Rhodesian Ridgebacks, the modern Rhodesian Ridgebacks makeup, and that it was actually a very beneficial aspect of the breed's development. Yeah, so here we have another photograph of the same fella. This is, your typical modern bull terrier, and this is what we expect to see when we mention the word bull terrier. Like many, many modern breeds, and many breeds that were developed from fully functional breeds, working breeds, the modern bull terrier has been bred, let me just say, into something that is no longer functional. And it's to meet criteria that are aspired to in the show ring. It's the show ring that's done this. And I'm not saying that showing is a bad thing. Please don't get me wrong. I think it's a good thing if it's done with moderation in mind and really looking for balance in the dog. But the problem is that in the show ring, there are certain traits that are aspired to, and then, because people crave to have these in their dogs, they are then fixed into the breed and exaggerated, and the dog then becomes a dog of extremes. And once the dog becomes a dog of extremes, it is no longer balanced, and it's just no longer a functional dog. Yeah, so it's no longer a functional dog, and it is also not the dog that was used to go into the makeup of the Rhodesian Ridgeback. So please put that image out of your mind when you think about the dog that was used to contribute towards the Rhodesian Ridgeback's makeup. Right, so the following image is more like the image of a working bull terrier type of a dog. So yeah, this is sort of like a bull terrier staffy type of a dog. But it's basically the dog that we're talking about as a working dog. You can see it's longer on the leg, it's much more athletic, it's still an extremely powerful dog. It's more moderate in its makeup, it's more balanced in its makeup, and there's no real exaggeration. It's just a powerhouse of a working dog. So yeah, this is an image I came across. I actually don't really know where I got it from. I found it in my library, so I'm really hoping that somebody isn't going to come and hit me over the head for using it, so we won't keep it up for too long. Yeah, and so it should be noted right at this point that the early bull terrier bore little resemblance to the modern breed, which is essentially and largely no longer bred for functionality. So, as with many registered and officially recognized breeds used as show dogs, these exaggerated physical traits often render the breed no longer suitable for their original purposes. So I'm going to show a number of photographs now of what bull terriers did originally look like. What you see here is an unsourced photo of a historic bull terrier, as would have been present at the Cape of Good Hope, I suppose. Something very similar. Now, you would agree, this is actually a morphologically sound animal. You can see that there's a good length of leg, it's got strong feet, a good length of sternum and width of chest to allow for heart and lung room. The dog has a strong top and underline. It has a strong loin and a moderate length of croup with a well-set tail. Its angulation, fore and back, are both moderate and balanced. The dog's forechest is well visible without being pronounced and with no additional fatty deposit, as is seen with many modern show Rhodesian Ridgebacks. There is a moderate length of neck and a good and equal length of muzzle and skull. The muzzle is blunt, it's clean of excess lip, and is well shaped. It is an altogether balanced, strong, physically functional, and pleasing dog. Now, that is the type of dog that would have gone into the making up of the Rhodesian Ridgeback. Now, the next image is the front cover of the book by William Haynes. It presents an old-fashioned bull terrier with body proportions and facial planes very different from today's modern version of the breed. The long legs, tight feet, depths of chest, strong top line and underline, and moderate head planes are those of a moderate and functional morphology. Now, this book, originally published in 1912, refers to this dog as the bull terrier ideal according to the standard. The dog is G.C. Israel's champion, Sound End Sombrero, and is a painting from life by R. Douglas Hamilton. Note that this particular dog now has upright ears, whether that is a natural occurrence or that they have been cropped. The image provides an excellent example of how a breed bred for function has altered its form as its function has changed from that of a working dog to primarily a dog whose form and function is directed by dog show breeders and fanciers. In this breed, as in many others, a balanced morphology has been altered by the breed or type's unique features being overemphasized and exaggerated with each passing generation until the breed becomes a completely extreme and less functional form of what was once a harmonious combination of features in a balanced morphology. Honestly, this should not be permitted to occur to the Rhodesian Ridgeback, and I fear that it is already happening. Anyway, look, this dog is still a fully functional dog. It's actually a beautiful animal, but you can see that its head is changing shape, which, it's very different from the image that I gave you before. The following images are going to show you the diversity in morphology that takes place as the dog develops, as the breed develops and changes, and as it has become a recognized breed and is used in the show ring. Anyway, so let me put it this way: as it is bred to possess certain recognized morphological traits, that are appreciated in an aesthetic manner rather than for their functionality. Anyway, so here we see the dog. This is another early Bull Terrier dog. It's Champion Tarquin. Now note the almost level but slightly convex head planes, which contrast directly with the grossly exaggerated concave head planes of the modern examples of the breed. And also note the strong but elegantly clean muzzle and the large eye. And I find his head very, very pleasing. Now, throughout, we've seen that the Bull Terrier, the early Bull Terriers, did not have much of a stop. And we do see this in some of our modern Rhodesian Ridgebacks as well. Now, the next image is interesting to me from a different point of view. And you'll think back to that, one of the previous images I showed you of a powerful working Bull Terrier that looks a bit like a Staffy, or a lot like a Staffy. This one too, this is a Bull Terrier, but you can see the strong resemblance to Staffordshire Bull Terrier. And, this just again highlights what I was saying, that as a breed develops and different stages, you see all these different influences coming through, or different types of morphology, until the breed becomes standardized. Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to move on from there. Example of the breed, of the Bull Terrier breed. And you'll note that on this one, the ears don't stand upright. This is Champion Bloomsbury Rex. And you can see that the dog is starting to have a lower center of gravity, lower on the leg, more compact, and the head is changing into what we recognize as being more like the modern Staffy, modern Bull Terrier. And here we have another early example of the breed, which is Champion Inferno, who displays a moderate conformational round, and with the characteristic upright ears. But note the width of chest, providing capacious lung and heart room, and the powerful shoulders that we do still sometimes see in modern examples of the Rhodesian Ridgeback, and particularly those that are used for functional purposes, mostly for hunting. Now, this is Feldhurst Viking Simon, an old-fashioned true-to-type Bull Terrier. Still, notice the balanced form, the long legs, strong top line, short coupled, moderate width of chest, and a more moderate divergence of the facial planes than what we commonly see today in the Bull Terrier. Okay, and then we are going to move on to the next image. And you can see how breeding to a template, a breed standard, and criteria aspire to in the show ring changes the breed dramatically. Now we have from Tom Horner's book, 1978 book, Champion Fidgety Snow Dream. Still an old type Bull Terrier, much changed though, still displaying the strength with supreme quality, but definitely the head is now showing quite extreme divergence of planes from the original historic Bull Terrier. And just for interest's sake, here's an image of a 1944 Bull Terrier. And, you can see that this is an ancestor of the modern breed, the breed that we commonly see. And it has a lot of the traits that we would expect to see in the modern dog. And lest you forget what the modern breed looks like, so to the right of the image is a miniature bull terrier, a version of the modern form of the breed. This is an extreme form of breeding for fancy aesthetics rather than producing a dog with working functionality in mind. So the form of the bull terrier that contributed to the modern form of the Rhodesian Ridgeback is most likely similar to the depictions of the historic, moderate, functional, and balanced form of the bull terrier breed. Please don't think of the modern breed when you're thinking about the influence of the bull terrier in the Rhodesian Ridgeback. Rather think back to that very first photograph that I showed you, and maybe, a couple of the ones that came in later. That's the type of dog that went into the development of the Rhodesian Ridgeback. So if you've enjoyed this first part of episode 1, the influence of the bull terrier and the Rhodesian Ridgeback, please hit the like button to promote the video and subscribe. And I'll see you again in part 2 of episode 1.
From the red, they rise, carrying the ridge of 2 rivers, Bull Terrier and Ridgeback, the dust of Africa.
In the shadow of lions, where the tall grass sways, hunters walk far through the burning days. Beside them ran hearts, unbroken, untamed. The bull terrier's fire gave the Ridgeback its name.
Love remembers, fire remains. Hey! 2 spirits joined, 1 heart sustained. Hey! Guardian of success, hunter of pride. Hey! Ridgeback rising, ancestors guide. Hey!
You will admit, few voices will say, but the bull terrier spirit walks Ridgeback's way. Fearless devotion, loyalty true, strength of the old world, burning and new. Brave in the bush, brave through the storm, shaped by the hunters, a legend was born. Bloodlines converging, destiny sealed. In Africa's silence, their courage revealed.
Love remembers, fire remains. Hey! 2 spirits joined, 1 heart sustained. Hey! God of the living, shadow of night. Hey! Ridgeback, eternal flame burning bright. Hey!